At the start we see a battlefield with a narration revealing how the Demon Lord already conquered half of the continent. But now a girl named Rudy appeared with the divine blessing of hero, and is on a journey to defeat the Demon Lord. In the next scene, we see a man collecting herbs in the mountains. He explained the place called Zoltan, a town present in the front of an unexplored land. So the only peoples here are fugitives, eccentrics, and normal citizens. He goes to Adventure Guild to submit the herbs. Some adventurers tell him to buy a steel sword, but he doesn't like adventures, and only want to open a medical shop, but he doesn't have the money to do it. In this world, everyone gets a blessing at their birth which gives them skills and determine their future. He go back to his room and remember his past. His name is Red, formerly known as Gideon, a member of the Heroes Party, who is a major obstacle to the Demon Lord's army, with Rudy, his sister, as the hero. But because of his inability to improve, Ares, the sub-leader, banished Gideon for being a liability to the team and his sister. He quit as a result, but being a knight of Bahamut, it will be a disgrace if he returns to his order, so he asked Ares to keep his fleeing a secret. Leaving his weapons acquired through the party, he left to start a new life in Zoltan. Next day, while gathering herbs, he spot an owlbear, but leaves because he is not in the hero party anymore. At the village, he meets Albert, a B-rank adventurer of the village. He refer Red as D-rank, and asks him to be his party's guide to defeat the owlbear that appeared in the forest. But because of his arrogance, and because Red is no longer a knight, Red refused. Albert tell him it's his chance to be promoted to C-rank, but Red leave, saying he just want to open.
Big brother.
At night, a friend of his, Gons, arrive and ask for help because his nephew is sick. At home, Tanta is afflicted by an illness that will render him blind if not cured within 24 hours. He urgently needs a herb, but it's only found in the mountains. Because of owlbear appearance, the guild has banned the entry of anyone in the mountains without permission. Gonza beg him to save his nephew, willing to do anything in return. Risking punishment from the Adventurers Guild, Red jumped the walls and went into the closed-off forest to gather the plants needed to cure him. In the process of gathering the plants, he finds that the forest was set afire by Albert, and encountered the owlbear in the process. The owlbear was injured and Red slay it because he was in a hurry. Albert's party find the dead owlbear and Albert notice the sword wound, but doesn't reveal it. Tanta is saved, and Gons is very happy. Red mentioned his reward making Gons worried, but he is willing to do anything. This resulted in Red getting his own apothecary building, built by Gons, with materials Red purchased. 4 months later, we see another B-rank adventurer Rit coming in the guild to submit her commission. She wonder why the receptionist is dressed and find out about a man opening an apothecary shop. She becomes interested and asks more about him. Later we see a celebration at Red News shop, and the start of the quiet life Red wants. In the next scene, as Red waits for customers in heavy rain, he is worried as his herbs will expire if no one buys them. Suddenly, someone enters the store and refers to him using his real name. Red recognizes her. They sit at a table, and Rit can't believe that Red is staying as an apothecary shop owner. Red reveals that she is one of the 2 B-rank adventurers in town. Her name is Rit, short for her full name Rizlet, a princess of the Duchy of Ligurvia, a major military power. She is in Zoltan, the town where Red resides, to escape a power struggle between her brother, the crown prince, and herself. She is worried that because of her, the duchy will be torn apart. That's why she ran away and is now working as an adventurer in this small town enjoying her freedom. She is happy that Red remember her and asks why is he living here instead of fighting demons with his party. Red explains everything, causing Rit to burst into anger. She shouts, saying that he did everything he could for the party, but how could they do this to him? She also mentions if Rudy and others think the same, but Red says it is still the truth that he has reached his limit of growth, so it was best for him to leave the party before any accident. Red then remembers his first encounter with Rit in an inn where they were relaxing. An adventurer approached a lady and tried to harass her, but she threw him away and revealed herself as Rit. She threatened him with her swords and he ran away. She then challenged Rudy and claimed that the duchy wouldn't need the hero's help to defeat the Demon King. He also mentions that back then Rit wasn't very honest with her feelings, remembering the incident when he was talking with Rit about the information of the Demon Lord's army. He then offers her some cookies because food was scarce in the forest. Rit likes the cookies, but doesn't want to admit it because of her embarrassment. Red then remembers their showdown with Shasandan. While battling the advance of the Demon Lord's army, Rizlet suggested to her master that she lead a raid into a food store of the Demon Lord's army, while the main force kept the Demon Lord's army occupied, and the hero's party protected the castle. But the plan was an utter failure, and to Rizlet's shock, she finds out that her master was none other than Shasandan, the multi-limbed general of the Demon Lord's army. He killed her master and devoured her master, taking his place. Rizlet charges at him in anger, but gets defeated by an orc. She was about to get killed, but Gideon arrives and saves her. Shisandin takes his true form and attacks both of them. Rudy also arrives and easily defeats Shisandin. Rizlet is shocked after seeing Rudy's powers and the death of her soldiers. Later, in her room, we see that Rizlet has lost all of her will to fight. But Gideon encourages her and motivates her to fight again for the Duchy of Lagurvia, for her people. Later, she regains her will to fight, and together they defeat the Demon Lord's army. Red decides to make something for them to eat, and Rit mentions her desire to work at Red's shop. After seeing her knowledge about the business, Red decides to hire her. At night, when they are eating food, Rizlet reveals that she is going to stay with him in his house for In the next scene, we see the heroes party camping in a desert. Ares introduces a new recruit named Tissue Garland, who is gifted with the divine blessing of the assassin. Ares blames Gideon and calls him useless, but the other members ignore Ares and introduce themselves to Taizi, causing Ares to get angry. Rudy comes out of the tent and confronts Taizi, saying she is under her command, not Ares. She also mentions that they are going to find a special weapon left by the previous Demon King. Next morning, Red gets flustered after seeing Rit sleeping. They get up and start their breakfast. Rit suggests to buy some painting to attract customers in their shop. They walk down the road and realize that Zoltan is town with no need for a hero. Red is glad as he and Rit both left their blood-soaked path. They arrive at Stormthunder's shop and he greet Rit with a big smile, but wonder what Red is doing with her. Rit wants to buy a new bed, since she moved in with Red and Stormthunder tease Red for being with Rit. Rit wants to buy a double bed, but Red insists on buying two single bed.
Sheesh, what a wimp. Come again.
Such a wimp.
Rit asks Stormthunder to deliver the bed at Red's shop, and they head towards the association to get the approval on their painkillers. On the way, Red explains in this world, all the creatures are granted a blessing by Almighty with their birth. The blessing are granted randomly, and doesn't matter which race, lineage or bloodline are you from. To level up their blessings, they have to kill other peoples with the blessings. Suddenly, they see Tanta fighting with some kids. He intervene and notice the other kid using his blessing. They run away and Tanta introduce his friend Al. Rit bandage Al leg and Al reveals the sudden change in Ademi's behavior. Red think it's because of his blessing and explain how a blessing can also result in changing his user's behavior and thought process. Since Ademi recently awakened the blessing of a bar brawler, his personality must have become aggressive as a result. Al become insecure after hearing this because his blessing is Weapon Master, but he doesn't like fighting. Rit tries to motivate him and Red remember that Rit's blessing is Spirit Scout. That's why she can leave peacefully in the castle and love freedom. He also motivate Al and explain the importance of blessings in their life. Al become happy after hearing his words and Red invite him to come by his shop whenever he wants. They then go to the association to get the approval for their medicine, but gets angrily refused by Dan. Rit decide to use her connection and go to the head of the association. The head explained that a month ago, they approved a medicine with addictive properties, and now the medicine is being misused as an illegal narcotic and is spreading faster in the town, causing great impacts. That's the reason why Dan angrily refused them. Though Red and Rit successfully had the safe painkiller Red concocted approved for distribution. On the way, Red apologized for making Rit do all the work, but Rit is just happy for being able to help him, making Red blush. With the painkiller approved, they needed another product to market it with. They think over it on lunch and Rit suggests serving food along with medicine, since Red's cooking is excellent. Red gets a brilliant idea, and two then make and sell a health supplement cold and fever remedy, in the form of a cookie, to eliminate the bitter taste which turns off most customers. Red advertise it, and it gets sold out in hours, which is another success for the duo. Red light her in air and thank her for making his dream come true. Meanwhile, in the desert, Danon got sick of Ares' means of running things around, as their first mission with the desert people, and the search for the Demon Lord's weapon faltered. Knowing that Ares banished Gideon out of jealousy because of his abilities and he wasn't a liability after all, Danon cited that things like this didn't happen with Gideon around. Ares gets angry for being compared with Gideon, but Danon decide to go look for him. Ares tries to stop him, but Rudy come out of her tent and allow Danon to go look for her brother. Danon wonder if Ares would have killed Gideon for getting in his ways, because Yrandrala thought the same and left the party as well after hearing about Gideon leaving the party. Theodore compliment him for his fighting skills, and Danon also acknowledge his tactics in battlefield. Theodore then if Ares will have been able to kill someone they both acknowledge and Danon then get up to go find him. At the start of the episode, we see Red wake up with a blush on his face, after noticing the sleeping beauty lying next to him. Later, we see Red and Rit working together at the shop. Red's inner thoughts reveal that he never imagined living a life like this, but he's content with it. Suddenly, a group of adventurers arrive at the shop and are shocked to see Rit, Zoltan's most formidable adventurer, working for Red. Rit reveals her retirement and moving in with Red, causing a disorder amongst them. They leave the shop to process their thoughts. Rit suddenly craves for mead, but there isn't any at home. Rit goes to buy some mead, while Red takes care of the shop. Just then, Albert comes to the shop, berating Red for his life choices, and demands answers from Red about who killed the owlbear. Red denies any involvement with what happened to the owlbear, but Albert is convinced because of the wound on the owlbear. Albert attacks Red, but Red doesn't fight back and acts as a weakling. Before the situation escalates, Red arrives and angrily attacks Albert. She is so angry that she could kill Albert, who is shocked at the sight of Rit in Red's shop, as well as Red's quickness, as he appeared next to them in a split second, with the bottle of mead in hand, that Rit dropped while attacking Albert. Red calms her down, and Rit tells Albert to get out of the shop. Rit wants to kill him, but Red denies because he is the only B-rank adventurer in the town now, and the town needs his protection, even if he is a jerk. That night, they have a peaceful dinner while drinking mead, and Rit wants to buy a big bathtub. The next day, as they visit Zeph's sauna, Red gets involved in a competition with his friends. Later, they notice a real lack of customers. Zeph reveals that it is because of new competition, a bigger, fancier sauna built by the nobles. So everyone wants to go there, and Zeph is also thinking of closing the sauna. Now scolds Zeph for his defeatist attitude, stating that they will keep coming back to his sauna. Later in Red's house, Red, Now, and Tanta meet over tea, and are worried because they like Zeph's sauna. Rit asks Red for an idea to attract more customers. Red has an idea of using a potpourri sack in the sauna itself. The herb makes it more relaxing, and also cures tiredness and stress. The next day, they go to the sauna and propose the idea to Zeph. The idea is a success and earned the place a lot of customers. They even test the sauna with the potpourri sack in place, with hilarious results. Red enters the sauna, but gets shocked to see Ridden now coming in as well. Red gets embarrassed and tries to leave, but now provokes him, forcing Red to stay. She makes fun of both Red and Rit. Later that afternoon, they bid farewell to each other, and Rit reveals the reason for her getting a bottle of mead that day. It reminded her of an old tradition in Lagurvia about a married couple traditionally taking time off and drinking mead together, making Red blush. Meanwhile, in the desert, we see Ares shouting at Danon for leaving the party. Tizi arrives and informs them about the situation. Theodora asks Tis if she feels that joining the party was a mistake, as the hero's party is encountering failure after failure. Tizi denies it, and Theodore tells her that these problems never occurred when Gideon was with them. She also thinks that the party needs. Next day, we see Red and Rit preparing to open the shop when someone knock the door. Red answer it, and find out the Adventurer Guild's branch chief, and some other high-position person standing there. They wants to talk to Rit and ask her to come out. Rit tell them to wait as they are currently in the middle of preparing the shop. After a short time, Rit goes to talk to them, and the chief of Thief Guild enter the shop. He offer Rit a huge amount of money in returns of leaving Rit, but he refuse. Outside, they all offer many things to Rit, but she is committed to quit adventuring, and wants to work with Red. She also warned them to not haunt Red, or she will take revenge. Inside, she apologized to Red for the inconvenience, and Red give her an amber bracelet afterwards. Meanwhile, the Thieves Guild wants Rit back into adventuring, preferably on their side, as well, for fear that she could become a problem to them later, if she goes solo. A mercenary take the responsibility of getting Rit back into the guild, and the head allow him. At the store, Rit remembers the time before the forces of Lagurvia and the party vanquished the Demon Lord's army. When Lagurvia was in trouble, the party went to the nearby Duchy of Sunland to ask for help, but they had to cross the Bewitching Woods, an area where no human dares to enter. Even the Demon Lord didn't know the way out of the woods, but with the help of Red's friend Yarandrala, a high elf immune to the effects of the woods, they prepare to go through the forest. Red thinks of Yarandrala as a trusted comrade and a close friend whom he can trust with his life. They prepare to enter the forest and hire some mercenaries to help them. Rit gets jealous after seeing the bond between Yarandrala and Red, and thinks that Yarandrala likes Gideon. On the way, Rit notices how close Gideon and Yarandrala are and becomes depressed. Rit also notices Rudy watching her actions. Yarandrala then comes close to Rit and invites her to take a bath together at the nearby river. At the river, Yarandrala reveals the fact that she and Gideon are just friends, and because she is an elf with a long lifespan, she doesn't want to fall in love with someone she can't be with for the rest of her life. She urged Rit to pursue her love for Gideon. Later, when they cross the woods, they find demon scouts waiting for them at the end of the forest. Gideon and Yarandrala decide to distract them, but Rit think it's very dangerous. Rudy tell her to stop ordering her party and order Gideon and Yarandrala to proceed with the plan. Then we also see the power of Rudy, the hero, firsthand, as she lay waste to the Demon Lord's army. When Gideon come back with Yarandrala, Rudy hug him and apologize to him for giving him a dangerous task. Rit later split from the hero's party to rebuild her homeland and journey on her own later. In present, Red remind her of her duty, and she rushed to do the delivery. On the road, Der meet with Rudy, and threatens her to join the thief guild if not. He is going to reveal her identity as a princess. Rit doesn't care and tell him to do as he wants, because her social status and game doesn't matter anymore. She just want to live with Red, making Der shocked and speechless. In the desert, Rudy think of her older brother Gideon. Because of the hero blessing, she doesn't need to eat and sleep anymore. That's why it's getting more hard for her. We see flashback where Ares lied to her about Gideon leaving the hero party and acting as a scout. She realizes that Ares did something to make Gideon leave, as she could see through his lies, causing her to lose control and punch him to near death. Luckily, she controlled herself and healed him just in time, and now she could feel the hole her brother left. Next day, while on a medicine delivery to Dr. Newman's clinic, Red and Newman go to see Jackson and find him collapsed on the floor. In the clinic, Newman reveals that Jackson is a victim of poisoning, which the doctor diagnoses as a narcotic drug overdose caused by the recently approved painkiller. At the shop, Red is angry at Red for coming late, and Red make a delicious lunch for her. Red reveals today's incident and wonder who is making the drugs. They decide not to investigate it, since it's not their job anymore. Red the proposed to take a picnic break, and Rit happily agree to it. They go to the riverside and enjoy swimming in the river. They also get to spend some time together and confess their love to each other. In the desert, Rudy and his teammates finally found the dungeon the previous demon lord left. Ares proudly boasts about his capabilities. Theodore tell Tizi to fill up the supplies, and they rest at the oasis. Tizi asks when does she sleeps. Rudy replies saying how due to her blessing, she doesn't need to eat, drink or sleep anymore. She also slowly forgetting her emotions, including her love for her brother. That's why she can't recall her brother even when she wants to, making Tizi pity her. At the shop, Red and Rit are back to their work, but suddenly an injured man enter the shop. Red quickly help him, while Rit go outside to check the situation. Outside, she find a member of Albert's party acting strange and killing civilians. More strange berserk peoples appear and attack her. She fight them, but doesn't want to kill them. Albert appear and kill his teammates. He also mock Rit, but gets scared when she threatens him. In the afternoon, Red wonder why there is no clues on the drugs, but Rit don't want to involve in this matter. Al and Tanto arrive and join them in the lunch. Al's blessing just got activated, and now he is feeling anxious for some reason. Red think it's because his blessing is Weapon Master, and since he still doesn't have a suitable weapon for himself to master, he is feeling anxious, making Al worried if he is changing because of his blessing. Red tell him about the importance of blessings in one's life and motivate him. In an inn, Danon is approached by an unknown man. He introduced himself as Bui and is also searching Gideon. He wants Danon's help to search Gideon quickly. At night, a storm is going. Red and Rit are enjoying warm milk with honey, and Red remember that when they were children, it was Rudy's favorite. Little Red gets worried after seeing Rudy not showing any emotions. As a kid, he would invent reasons to hold Rudy's hand and promise to become a knight, so he could adventure with her. He also tell her about emotions, and ask her to show her emotions more freely, causing her to smile. Red say in future, if she doesn't want to do anything, she just have to tell Hema and D he will take care of the matter for her. In present, someone knock on the door, and Dr. Newman suddenly arrives with an injured Al. The episode begins with Red wondering about what happened to Al. Later, AI regains consciousness and reveals that a demi attacked him and his parents with an axe. Fortunately, Red and Dr. Newman find AI's parents alive. The news of Ademi's disappearance after the attack leads to protests in Southmarsh, as people believe he's being protected by the town guard, led by Moan, who is Ademi's father. Al's parents are currently recovering, and Al temporarily moves in with Red and Rit. Al decides to harness his blessing and become stronger, and Rit begins to teach him sword fighting. Despite being a quick learner, Rit is concerned about her ability to effectively teach Al, as it's her first time doing so. Suddenly, Red and Rit hear that Tanta has been taken away by the town guard for questioning. With the help of the Adventurer Guild Master, who helped them because now they owe him a favor, Red and Rit arrange a meeting with Moan. They arrive at Moan's mansion and meet Tanya's father. Moan greet them, and inside they meet Tanta, who is safe and not harmed in any way. Moan apologizes for Tanta's treatment, but vehemently refuses to consider that his son is the preparator of this incident. Tanta also suspects that something is wrong, because Ademi apologized to him after their fight. Moan requests to have a private chat with Red and Rit. He then discusses about the incident where some people lost their reason and started a massacre mindlessly. Red then think that this case is somehow related to drug that's been going around recently. Moan strongly disagree as he did not raise his son to participate in such behavior, and commissions Rit to find the source of the drug. While AI is in the apothecary, a stranger arrives and greet him. Later, Red arrive at the shop finding Al at the door. He wonder where Red is, and Red decide to teach him some moves himself. He uses a broom. Al gets angry and charge at him only for him to get knocked down. Red reveals how his blessing help him in mastering weapons, but he must remain compass during a fight. After the training, Al wonder why Red is a D-rank adventurer despite being this skilled. Red like his life the way it is, and tell him that just because he is skilled in something, he is not obliged to pursue that path. After hearing that, Al reveals that today a stranger gave him a sword. On the other hand, on Moan's request, Rit catches a drug dealer, but he explode, and she is caught in an ambush of bandits. They attack her, but a man arrive and save her. He is revealed as Danon, who is happy to see her. Rit wonder why is he here and gets scared when Danon reveals that he is here to find Gideon and bring him back. But Danon respects Gideon's desire for a quiet life, and thus tells Rit to keep quiet about his presence. They also discover that the assailants are disguised minor demons, and there is something wrong with this incident. Danon and Rit decide to investigate the incident and Rit leaves, but we see Danon's behavior is strange, and he seems to be enjoying the situation. At home, Red show her the sword that Al received from the stranger. Rit finds that the sword actually have a location marking spell cast on it, which reveals its user's location. They wonder what is that stranger trying to accompany by giving this sword to Al. Rit then sit on his lap and is scared that one day Red will leave her, but can't say anything to him. As Red and Rit later go into town to find a weapon suitable for his blessing, protests against the town guard are heating up, likely staged by Bayek himself. Meanwhile, the hero's party has found one of the weapons of the former demon lord. Rudy tells Taizi to go find the weapon while they fight the guardian. During the fight, Ares proves his inadequacy as a party member, and Rudy warns him, because she is not going to provide him cover, just like how she used to provide cover for her brother. But Ares refuses to acknowledge his shortcomings and blame Danon and Yerendrala for it. They defeat the Guardian and find that the weapon is actually an airship. While the airship gives Rudy the chance to retrieve her brother, she refrains from. At night, Red is feeling anxious as he is sleeping on a double bed with Rit for the first time. Both of them are somewhat nervous, but they decide to take it easy and just go to sleep. The next day, an unfamiliar man is walking in the alley when Dur and his men ambush him, thinking that he is Al. However, the man turns out to be Rit disguised as Al, carrying the sword with a tracking spell. This is why Dur mistook her for Al. Rit defeats Dur's men, but one of them transforms into an axe demon and attacks her. At the shop, a soldier is guarding Al when some Bayek men arrive. The soldier is revealed to be one of them, and a man in a robe captures Al. The stranger wants him to become the hero of the Southmarsh people. At the headquarters, AI finds out that Bayek is responsible for distributing the Devil's Blessing, the narcotic plaguing Zoltan. The drug is made by the heart of 50 axe demons and give the consumer a new blessing. He reveals that a demi is already in his custody. Outside, we see that a large amount of peoples are gathered, and Albert is also present. Bayek arrive with Al, and in a speech, he tells the crowd that the town guards are protecting criminals, and he seeks to bring justice for Al. Bayek wants to use AI for his own agenda by having him execute a demi. He also reveals that he was responsible for giving a demi the drug and the axe. AI instead frees a demi. He believes it is not his fault. Bayek brandishes an axe, causing a demi to go berserk due to the drug's effects, but the man in a robe cut the axe and save a demi. He reveals himself as Red and rescue both a demi and Al. Meanwhile, Wee, who is helping Rit, arrives and takes a demi and Al to safety. While Red confronts Abert and Bayek's gang, Albert attacks Red, but Red easily parries all of his attacks with a dull sword, surprising Albert and confirming Red's expertise. Red also finds out that Bayek has been taken over by a contract demon named Belial. The demon formed a contract with Bayek to help him become a king, but now he wants to be the king himself. He also expresses frustration with the people of Zoltan, calling them lazy and the village slow. Albert believes it's a waste of his blessings to stay in Zoltan, and wants to achieve something big. He reveals his ambition to join a hero party and defeat the Demon King, earning fame and praise from many people. He invites Red to join him and become a hero, but Red refuses. The town guards arrive and arrest them. However, Albert, not wanting to lose all purpose in life, attacks Red, but Red cuts off his hands. Bui takes Albert and Ademi in front of the protesters. AI and Ademi reveal Bayek's plan to the public, including the dangers of taking illegal drugs, which can turn someone into a demon and cause them to lose their reason. Bui forgives Ademi in front of everyone, thus resolving the crisis. A few days later, however, Bui visits the possessed Bayek in prison, revealing himself as Shisandin, the demon lord's general supposedly slain by Rudy, who scolds Belial, for making humans aware of the hidden potentials that the devil's blessing could unleash in them. Belial has other plans and terminates his contract with Bayek, regaining his true form. He runs off and reaches Albert's cell, wanting him to fulfill the contract. Albert has lost all his will and hope and tells Belial to do what he wants, which confirms a new contract. Belial then escapes using Albert's body. We also see that Albert has joined a party and is starting his adventurous life. Red and Riit feel sad, like sending their son away. On the other hand, when Albert goes to join the heroes' party, Rudy draws her. In the next scene, we see that Rudy has left with Taizee on an aircraft, leaving Theodore and Ares behind. Ares is angry, but Theodore goes into the tent and sees Belial's body in the hero batch. Theodore wonders why Rudy left the hero batch there. In Zoltan, Bui has now been promoted to a B-rank adventurer and is residing there. On the aircraft, Taizee wonders why they are going to Zoltan. Rudy wants to find a medicine maker who is currently living in Zoltan. A flashback occurs, and we see Belial, who wants to help the hero in defeating the Demon Lord. He reveals that most demons worship the same god as humans, and hate the Demon Lord who defies God's will. He gives her the devil drug made from the heart of an axe demon, which helps in weakening one's blessings. Rudy tries it and finds it effective, and now she wants to get a decent supply of this medicine to suppress her hero blessings. She wants to hide her identity as the hero, and tells Taizee to treat her as a fellow traveler. Taizee is scared, but Rudy tells her to treat her like a friend, and help her as well. At the shop, winter is approaching, but there are no customers. Riit suggests making a new exclusive product for winter, such as hand warmers. The making process requires intermediate alchemy knowledge, but Red knows another way to make it. He wonders if it's a good idea, but Riit assures him. They give everyone a sample to try and everyone likes it. Red meets Riit on the way and tells her that the progress is good. He thinks he should have kept a sample for himself because it's really cold outside. Riit reveals she has a sample, and they use it while taking a stroll. Suddenly, snow starts falling, and they decide to rest on a nearby bench, while sharing the same robe. They spend a good time together. Later, Rudy and Taizee arrive at Zoltan and hide the ship in a nearby forest. At night, when the guard is closing the gates, Red arrives late and decides to have a drink with the guard. Taizee is looking for a food stall, and enters the same one where Red is having a drink. Red gives her a chair meant for kids because of her short stature. Red notices that Taizee's body is well trained, and appears to be hiding weapons. From her behavior, he deduces that she may be a thief or an assassin. Taizee also observes all the wounds on Red's body, and how he is using a small cup instead of a mug to drink, indicating that he is an experienced adventurer. Both individuals recognize each other as seasoned warriors. Taizee takes some food for Rudy and warns her to be cautious of the person she met. Rudy discovers that the person she is looking for is in prison, and they plan a prison break. She wonders how Gideon would have planned if he were there, and becomes sad as she recalls his teachings. Later, Red and Tiss are led to a fairy dragon hamlet to treat an archfey named Undine, who is suffering from a magical drain spreading in Zoltan, caused by a powerful entity. Meanwhile, Rudy and Tiss successfully break Godwin, the creator of Devil's Blessing, out of prison. Rudy wants Godwin to create more of the blessing, and he agrees, frightened by her expressionless eyes. To treat the injuries sustained in the escape, they seek out the local apothecary. At the shop, Red is talking to his friend when Tiss and Rudy enter. They are surprised to see each other, and this is the first time we see Rudy smile as she jumps on Red.
Big brother!
Rudy's sudden embrace of Red surprised both Taizee and Gons. Taizee wondered if it was safe to leave Gons, since he had overheard their secret, but Red assured them there was no need to worry. After Taizee introducing herself, Red and Rudy catch up, and they discovered Ares' treachery. Rudy also reveals how their party almost disbanded after Red left. Danon had set out to find him, and Yarandrala left the party after believing that Ares killed Red. Rudy want him to rejoin their group. Red refused, as he had found a new purpose in Zoltan, and Rudy decided to stay with him, relinquishing her role as the hero. On their way back, Rudy suddenly fell ill due to her blessing, which forced her to act as the hero again. They returned to the inn, where Rudy decided to search for a set of elven ruins, rumored to be in the area, which could serve as a secret laboratory for making the demon's blessing drug to weaken her hero blessing. On the other hand, we find out that Bui was responsible for the recent magic drainage in the area, using an enchanted crystal heart, and was also searching for the same elven ruins. Next day, Rudy and Taizee were working in the shop, but Rudy's personality was scaring off customers. Red and Taizee advised her to smile when greeting someone, and Red decided to give her a small tour of the town. to help her adjust. They visit the sauna and Red tell Rudy to try it. They drink milk afterward, and Rudy gets surrounded by peoples due to her different personality. Later, Rudy apologized to Red for her personality, but he reassured her that he was proud of her and happy to introduce her to others. This made Rudy happy, and they went home together. Later, Rudy, Riit, and Tis decided to take a bath together. While they were bathing, Rudy opened up to them about how much of an emotional support her brother was for her, especially since her blessing as a hero had made her numb to feeling any joy. She confessed to envying Riit's freedom to laugh and cry anytime, whereas her blessing prevented her from feeling those emotions at all. However, she found solace in remembering her time with Red, and it made her happy. Tis quietly resolved to save Rudy from her forced destiny as the hero. She knew it would be a difficult task, but she was determined to help her friend break free from the constraints of her blessing and live a life full of emotions and freedom. Meanwhile, Aries and Theodora use Albert to track Rudy down. During a break, Theodora explains to Albert that people are not shackled by their blessings from determining their own death. In the next scene, Tizi reveals everything to Red, and Red realizes how much burden Rudy is carrying. Tizi also tells them about the Devil's Blessing drug, and Red concludes that while Rudy's immunities protect her from the Devil's Blessing for now, she will eventually succumb to it if she continues to take it to negate her hero blessing. They decide to talk with Godwin about this, and Red leaves to search for materials needed to make the drug, while Tizi and Riit go to the Elven ruins. On the port, Aries, Theodore, and Albert also arrive in town and start searching for Rudy's traces. Bui also notices Aries, while Red encounters Danon, who is ecstatic to see him, and they catch up together, while Theodora and Albert observe them invisibly. However, this Danon is missing a hand, and Red reveals how Rudy is suffering because of her blessing. Danon decides to help Rudy as well, and he also wants Red to rejoin the party, but Red refuses. When they leave, Theodore is also confused about what to do. In a hotel, Danon knocks at Aries' door, but this Danon has both of his hands. He tells Aries about Red, and how he is living happily with Riit in the town, making Aries very angry. The impostor Danon guides Aries to Red's shop, which Aries demolishes in his obsessive jealousy of Red. On their way, Danon tells Red how he fought with Chrysandan when he entered the town and lost one of his hands. Red is shocked since Rudy clearly killed Chrysandan in the battle. They suddenly spot Aries flying towards the ruins, and Red speeds up while Danon follows him. Red tells the truth about Chrysandan to Riit and Tizi, making Riit angry because he was the one who killed her precious teacher. Both Riit and Red decide to hold their swords again to beat Chrysandan. Red then arrives at the ruins with his fast speed. The ruins are actually an abandoned base of a more advanced, long-gone civilization. He finds traces of wooden elves there and some words written as Hero Administrator Center. He then finds Godwin and uses him to call Rudy. He apologizes to Rudy for ignoring her all this time and tells her to do whatever she wants. He also supports her decision to quit her role as a hero and live the life she wants, making Rudy extremely happy. Outside, Aries and Chrysandan also reach the forest, and Chrysandan uses Aries to find the ruins. On the way, Theodore also arrives and gives Danon a ride. Riit and Tizi also arrive at the ruins, and as they discuss the effects of Devil's Blessing, Rudy notes that an unprecedented blessing without name seems to have emerged in her. Right afterwards, Aries arrives and asks Rudy to come with him to save the world, but Rudy defies as she doesn't want to be a hero anymore. Thinking that Red is the reason, Aries attacks him, resulting in Rudy seriously wounding him. She gives him a warning and abandons him. Aries is then met by Bui, an Asura demon, and the fake Danon. Bui reveals that the ruins shelter an artifact left behind by the first hero, which Aries could use to win Rudy back to. In the next scene, Aries explains how the first time he laid his eyes on Rudy, he found the purpose of his life: to fight alongside the hero and save the world, since the only blessing superior to his sage blessing was the hero's blessing. Bui leads him to the room where the artifact is. Red tells Tizi and Rudy about Aries' arrival, and Tizi detects that Aries is on the lowest level with someone who is concealing their presence. They then decide to confront him. Theodore and others also arrive and decide to do things their own way. Since Danon is all brawn, no brain, he smashes directly through the walls and reaches the room where Aries and Chrysandan are. He quickly attacks Chrysandan with a sword and overpowers him with martial arts, even though his right hand was cut off. Aries attacks him, making him stunned, and Chrysandan pierces him with the blade. Danon still stands in his form, making Chrysandan impressed. He reveals his true form and attacks him. Danon parries all of his attacks but gets defeated. They reach the chamber containing the artifact they're looking for. 5 sword blades, siblings of the sacred sword wielded by Rudy and, like Rudy, remnants from the time of the first hero. Chrysandan also reveals that to make Rudy a hero again, he has to get her in contact with the sword and kill his brother Gideon. When Red's group reaches them, Chrysandan reveals himself disguised as Rudy's teacher, making her angry, and she attacks him. Ares also attacks Gideon, but Rudy uses her shield to save him. They then use their magic to fight, while Taizi protects Godwin. Outside, Albert gives a potion to Danon and saves him. Rudy then uses her martial art to break the replica of the sacred sword, impressing Shasandin. Suddenly the ground starts shaking, and Theodore appears. She binds Riit using the holy chains, and attacks Rudy to steer her back onto the hero's path. Rudy asks her why she should sacrifice her life to save the world, when there are many people who want the title of the hero. Riit also protests against this, pointing out that the one carrying the hero's blessing is not the world's sole savior, and the bearer of the hero's blessing is also a person. She thinks that the one who saved her kingdom was not the hero's blessing, but it was the combined efforts of the whole party. Shasandin also points out that the hero simply doesn't exist. It's the will of the people that gives birth to heroes. But the mighty god can't understand this simple thing that most of us understand clearly. The dragon then attacks Rudy, and Red goes to save her. Ares uses a spell and makes them fall. Rudy quickly defeats Theodore and rushes to save them. Ares starts laughing, thinking he killed Red. He also defeats Taizi using his magic, knocks Godwin out, and stomps on the pet spider. On the other hand, we see Danon, who is now recovered, using his martial art to save Red and Rudy. Red then fights Ares and kills him. On the other hand, Shasandin fights with Rudy, and she succeeds in killing him. But Shasandin tricks Rudy into touching one of the sacred blades, subjecting her to her blessing's compulsions. Under this urge, she attacks Red, but her blow is intercepted by Tis. Taizi tells Rudy not to attack the person behind her, since he is the most precious person in Rudy's life. And then Red leaves Taizi and Riit in Godwin's care, and distracts Rudy. They begin fighting, and Rudy completely destroys his sword. Having no choice, Red decides to use his dull sword. He then manages to disarm Rudy using the dull sword, freeing her from the sacred blade's influence. She starts crying after realizing what she has done. Danon and Albert also arrive. Riit tries to heal Taizi, but her powers are not enough. When Rudy goes to use her power, she finds that her blessing has been nullified. She starts crying since she doesn't want to lose her only friend. Theodore uses her healing powers to heal Taizi, and, as an act of repentance for her stubborn adherence to her belief in the hero's blessing, asks them to kill herself. Albert disagrees since he thinks what Theodore did was for the sake of the world. Taizi also wakes up, and Rudy apologizes to her. All assembled come to the realization that being the hero is not dictated by one's blessing, but their own choices. Theodore wonders if she can become an amazing guide like Gideon, and Gideon's answer is, if that's what she wants, she can. In the aftermath, Rudy and Taizi relocate to Zoltan, where Rudy has been bestowed with a new blessing that suppresses her previous hero's blessing. She also feels cold for the first time and wants to experience more things. Rudy and Taizi decide to buy a farm and grow herbs in Zoltan. In the evening, they attend Ares' funeral, and Red wishes Ares to be free of his sage's blessing in his next life. Outside, Danon is going to stay in Zoltan for a few days, and then will leave on his own journey. He also wonders how Shasandin was able to wield the holy sword, since it was made to kill demons. Red concludes that the very first hero must have been an Asura demon, just like Shasandin, since there were 6 holy swords, and an Asura demon has 6 arms as well. But there was one sword missing, and Red concludes that one of the previous heroes must have taken that sword. They choose to leave these worries and live their own life free from their blessings. At night, Red explains how exceptional Red is as a guide, and she is scared that one day he will leave her to guide someone else. Red explains how much he needs Red in his life, and fully accepts Red as his wife. The next day, Rudy and Red go to explore the city more and find Godwin, who gets scared and runs away after seeing them. We also see different scenes where everyone is living peacefully, and except for the occasional emergency, which Rudy chooses to resolve, their life in Zoltan returns to normal. And somewhere in the wilderness, Yarendrala encounters Godwin, who tells her about Red and Rudy's whereabouts, prompting her to rejoin them in Zoltan. This concludes the first season of Banished from the Hero Party series.
How was the video? We hope it was good. If so, please check these videos. Also, please comment down your thoughts and your suggestions for future videos. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing now to show the support to our channel. We hope to see you soon with another video right in this channel. Have a nice day.